In this video, we are going to continue with Mathematics Paper 1 for 2017. This paper was written by the GCE. Now we'll consider this video as our part 3, where we are beginning from question 16a. So the question, the curved surface area of a cone is 88 square centimeter. Given that the base radius is 4 centimeters, calculate the slant height of the cone. Given pi is equal to 22/7. So let's have a visual diagram for the cone. So this is the cone, and the cone has a base of a circle. Then we have this perpendicular height. Then this line we have our radius. So from the data here, we can see that our radius is 4 centimeters. Then the slant height, which can be denoted by letter L or S, is this one. So this is our slant height. Now we are told that the curved surface area. So the curved surface area is just this area minus the area of the circle or the base. So let's look at the formula for curved surface area of a cone. So area is equal to pi RL or pi RS. So let's just use S. Now we can now do substitution. So we can see that the area is given. It is 88 squared centimeter. The pi will have it 22/7. The radius, we have it 4 centimeters. Then our question is, we are solving for slant height, which is S. So let's now, over 1, we cross multiply. So we'll say 1 times 22 times 4. I'll just write it the way it is. So 22 times 4 centimeters. Then multiply by S. So these will be multiplied together, but instead I won't write the final answer if we multiply 22 by 4. So I'll just write it 22 times 4 is equal to, even here we'll say 88 squared centimeters times 7. So what is the advantage of writing the way I've written it? So this will be simpler for us to do the division. So first we'll divide by 4 centimeters, even here by 4 centimeters, because we know that 4 can go into 88. So here we have 22 times S, we have 22S is equal to, now centimeter here cancelled, so there is only 1 centimeter remaining here. Then 4 here is 1. 4 into 8 is 2. 4 into 8 is 2. So here we have 22 centimeters times 7. So we can see that we'll divide by 22, even here by 22. So the slant height will just give us 7 centimeters. So let's hope now you can see the reason why I didn't multiply this number. So this is one of the way you can simplify the number. But if maybe you multiply, if you want, you can say 22. We can, if you want, we can multiply it also. 22 times 4 will give us 88 centimeters S. Then here we have 88 centimeters squared times 7. So if we divide by 88 centimeters, even here by 88 centimeters, we'll still get 7 centimeters, because 88 into 88 is 1 centimeter. Centimeter, we have centimeter. Centimeter times 7 will give us 7 centimeters. Okay, so now we can move on to question B. The diagram below shows a flowchart for a program to calculate tax on an income. So we can see that we have start here, then enter income. Then we have a decision box here where we have been given a question. Is income less than 3,000? If yes, then the tax should be 0. If no, we need to calculate tax is equal to 0.3 times the difference between the income and 3,000. So let's look at the question. Complete the table in the answer space below. So we want to find a value here and also here. So let's look at what we are given. So we are solving for tax. So what is the tax if the income is 2,900? So let's look at this point here. So from this point here, if for instance we enter the 2,900, so let's ask a question. Is 2,900 less than 3,000? So the answer is yes, 2,900 is less than 3,000. So we are going to follow the yes decision. So let's look at what is happening if we follow the yes. So what are we going to do? The tax should be 0. So here we just have to put a 0. So according to the decision, since 2,900 is less than 3,000, the tax is 0. Now let's assume we enter 5,000. So if we redraw the decision box here, if we ask is 5,000 less than 3,000, the answer is no. 5,000 is greater than 3,000. So if the answer is no, what are we supposed to do? So we are supposed to make some calculations here. So we are supposed to make this calculation. So let's do calculations. We have been given the formula. So the formula is tax is equal to 0.3 times the difference of the income. What is the income this time? The income is 5,000. So we put 5,000 minus 3,000. So let's say, so tax is equal to 0.3 times 5,000 minus 3,000 will give us 2,000. So what is 0.3 times 2,000? So we just, what we are going to do is we are going to move this decimal to the right so that we have 3. After moving it to the right, this 2,000 becomes 200. So we can see that since we only have one decimal place, we remove the 0 here. This is what you do in calculations where you have no calculator. So 3 times 200 will give us 600. So the income was 600. Then another way in which you can multiply numbers like this, you can ignore the decimal, you just get the 3. So we have 2,000 times 3. So we know that whenever we are multiplying a number with a number that has zeros, you can just multiply 3 times 2 will give us 6. Then we know that here we are going to have zeros. So after we have this 6,000, let's go back to the number of decimal place. So we only have one decimal place. So we'll move from the right to the left one decimal place. So this will give us 600.0, which is the same as 600. We move on to question 17. A bag of potatoes has mass. We have 15.4 plus or minus 0.05 kg. So from these numbers, the first number 15.4 indicates the true value. Then 0.05 is our relative error. Our absolute error. Then find the tolerance of this mass. So for us to find the tolerance, first we need to find the upper bound or upper limit. So how do we find the upper bound? We are going to add 15.4 plus 0.04. So that's what you do. So we have this 15.4. Since here we have 2 decimal places, we'll add a 0 so that we have 2 decimal places, so that the pattern of addition may be applied. So 0, the point here, 0, 5. Let's add So we know that 0 minus 5 it can't, so we get 1 from 4. We put it here. 10 minus 5 is 5. Here we have 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. Then 5 minus 0 is still 5. 1 minus 0 is still 1. So our upper bound is 15. What have I done? This should be addition, not subtraction. Sorry. Okay, so we are supposed to add, since we are finding the upper bound. So we add 0 plus 5 is 5. 4 plus 0 will give us 4. Then 15 plus 0 we get now 15. So we have found the upper bound. Then after finding the upper bound, we are going to find the lower bound. So the lower bound now we need to subtract, since we have a plus or minus here. So we are going to subtract 0.05. So 15.40 minus 0.05 here. So we say 0 minus 5 it can't, so we get 1 from 4. 10 minus 5. Then here we have 3 minus 0. Then 15 minus 0 is still 15. So now, to find the actual answer, you just have to find the difference between the upper bound and the lower bound. So we'll say tolerance is equal to, you begin with the upper bound, 15.45 minus 15.35. So what is the difference between the two numbers? The difference is 0.1. If we want to show our working, we can say 15.45 minus 15.35. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 4 minus 3 is 1. Decimal 15 minus 15 is 0. So answer is 0.1. Now let's move on to question B. Write down the relative error of the mass as a fraction in its simplest form. So the formula for relative error is equal to absolute error divided by true value. So our absolute error is 0.05. Then our true value is 15.4. So from these two numbers, we can see that the one on the numerator part is the smallest. So let's look at the number of decimal places. So this has 1, 2. So we have 2 decimal places. So we multiply it by 100. Also, even the denominator must also be multiplied by 100. So if we multiply a 0 point something number by a number with 0, so the decimal will move to the right 2 times. So this will just give us 5 over, what is 15.4 times 100. So the 15.4, the decimal will move 2 times. So 1, 2. This means the decimal will be here. Since here there is no number, we just put a 0. So this becomes 1540. Now, since we are told to leave it as a fraction in its simplest form, let's divide 5 into 5 is 1. 5 into 15, that is 3. 5 into 40 is 8. Now, since here we are dealing with a 4 digits number, our answer should be a 3 digits. So here in between you put 0. So 5 into 1540 is 308. Okay, so now we move on to question 18. A, B and C are 3 points on level ground. B is a bearing of 070 degrees from A, and C is on a bearing of 130 from B. So whenever we are dealing with bearings, the first thing is we need to make the extension at each point. So here we are going to extend the line. Even here we need to extend. Also here we need to extend this line. So, and the other thing that you need to know is these 3 lines are parallel to each other. So that point of alternating angles can be applied. Now let's look at the bearing of A from B. So where is this A from B? So it is coming from B. So this line becomes our B. If this line becomes our B, then this is our A. Now remember, we said the bearing is starting from B up to point A. So we'll look at the north of point B. Then we need to move the clockwise direction until it touches the line for A. So this is the angle that we are looking at. So now let's look at how can we solve this angle. So we can see that this angle here, if we are to extend this line until it touches here, this gives us a 180. So if this is 180, so we can find this angle here. If we find this angle plus 180, we have the bearing that we are looking at. Now let's look at this alternate or Z rule. So we can see that the angle here is equal to the angle here. So this 70 is equal to this angle there. So that is the concept that we are going to use. So here we have angle 70. So for us to find the bearing of A from B, we are just going to add this 180 here plus this 70 here. So this is equal to 180 plus 70. So 180 plus 70 will give us 250 degrees. Now let's move on to question B. Question B, we are solving for the bearing of B from C. So this line becomes our C. This is our C. If this line is our C, then this line will be our B. So this bearing will move from the north of point C somewhere here in a clockwise direction until it touches the line that is connecting B and C. So that is the pattern. So this is the angle that we are solving for. So what we can do is first we need to find this angle here, and we can see that we have a complete circle. So if we find this angle and we subtract it from 360, then we have the angle that we are looking for. So how can we find this angle? Let's look at this point here. We know that this angle here is 130, and a straight line, this angle is equal to 180. So how can we find this angle? We can find this angle by subtracting 130 from 180. So let's subtract. So 130 from 180, this angle here is 50. So if this angle is 50, so we can see that we have this alternate angle. So even here we have 50. So our final answer this time will just be 360 minus 50, which is giving us 310 degrees. So question 20, the diagram below shows a Cartesian plane with point A 6,6, B 0,-2, C 0,6, and D 6,0. Find the equation of the line CD. So the line CD, we can see that it's a straight line. So we need to apply the formula for the straight line. So the formula for the straight line equation is y minus y1 is equal to slope, open brackets, x minus x1. Or if you want, you can use y minus y1. Then we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this one, you are just finding everything at once. But for the first one, first we need to find the gradient separately. So let's use the first one. So let's find the gradient. So since we are finding the equation for the line CD, we need to look at the equation, the coordinates for C. So C is 0,6, Then our d is 6, 0. So this is our x1, x2, y1, y2. So let's write the formula. So gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 is 0 minus y1 is 6 over x2 is 6 minus 0. So 0 minus 6 is negative 6 over 6 minus 0 is 6. 6 into negative 6 is negative 1. So our gradient is negative 1. Then if we look at this formula, so this would be y minus our y1 is 6, gradient negative 1, x1 is 0. So let's now expand. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times 0 is just 0 or positive 0. Then from there, we need to move this to the other side. This will give us y is equal to negative x plus 0 plus 6, since it's negative 6. So after shifting to the other side, the negative will change to positive. So our final answer is negative 6 plus negative x plus 6. Now let's say if we want to find everything at once. So if we want to find everything at once, it's y minus y1. Y1 we can see that it's 6. Then here y2 is 0 minus 6 over 6 minus 0. X1 is 0. So y minus 6 is equal to 0 minus 6 is negative 6 over 6. Then is equal to x minus 0. Then here we are going to have negative y minus 6. So here we have negative 1, which is x minus 0. So negative 6 is equal to negative x plus 0. So if we shift negative 6 to the other side, our final answer is negative x plus 6. So we can see that we are able to find the same answer. So you can use any of the formula. Then let's look at the other question. So the other question, we are solving for the distance AB. So let's look at the coordinates for AB. For A, so A is 6, 6, x1, y1. Then for B is here, it's negative, that's 0, negative 2. So x2, y2. Now the formula for the distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So let's do substitution. So x2 is 0 minus 6 squared plus y2 is negative 2 minus 6 squared. So 0 minus 6 is negative 6 squared. Then here we can see that we have the same sign. So we add negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8 squared. Then negative 6 squared. This is same as negative 6 times negative 6. This will give us positive 36 plus negative 8 times negative 8. This will give us positive 64. So if we add 36 and 64 will give us 100. The square root of 100 is 10. You just say units since it's a distance. So this is how we can simplify the questions. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.